All right, so today we are going to do hot air balloons, and these are actually the perfect shape to start out with because they are pretty spherical. And so we're going to draw some hot air balloons. We're going to talk about how to get form. So even though this is really basic, it's foundational. So if you can see my screen here, we're going to start out, and these are going to be really simple hot air balloons. So anybody can draw them. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by drawing circles, or we're going to draw ovals. So, and really, they don't have to be perfect. In fact, if they're less perfect, that's way more fun. So we're going to draw circles, ovals. We're going to draw long ovals, or ovals that run horizontally or that are wider. So just draw a bunch of circles on your page. And try to vary them a little bit. Even making some of them like really skinny, just for fun. So Corey and I went to the hot air balloon in Eden, Utah, just the other day, last year for my birthday. And so I took a couple of pictures. So I'm going to use those as photo references also. Even though we're kind of doing more of a graphic design type of a hot air balloon, but I wanted to show you guys this so that you can get an idea of the form. So right now we're just drawing circles, and then we're going to finish the hot air balloon. But to get the form, then you need a couple of things. So one way to get form in drawing is to draw the contour lines. Now, hot air balloons are the perfect subject because you can see the contour lines on the hot air balloon just because of how they are put together. And so these contour lines are the lines that run down the hot air balloon. So the way that the fabric, I'm assuming they're like, the way that they're pieced together, it makes contour lines. And then a lot of the hot air balloons have these cute patterns on them that actually make the contour lines across the hot air balloon also. So that's one way that we're going to get form. The other way that we're going to get form is looking at the values. So when you're looking at a picture and you're trying to see the values, it's a lot harder to decipher the values when you're looking at something that is in color. So if you have access to a photocopy machine, even though these are both pretty terrible renditions, they're not very good print because my ink is kind of on the fritz. But if you have a copy machine, if you can copy it in black and white, it's a lot easier to see the different values. So I also have the picture in black and white here. Okay, so let's keep drawing our little hot air balloons. So now all we're going to do is we're going to start at the sides, and we're going to come down into the middle. So it's sort of like a triangle coming off the hot air balloon. And hopefully you can see this okay. I'll try to draw a little bit darker. So we're just going to draw. Now, we are going to not quite make it come to a tip because that's where our little basket's going to go at the bottom. So all of these little shapes we're now going to make into hot air balloons. And maybe sometimes you can come up on the top too and just draw a little bit of extra on the top, just changing the shapes every once in a while. But having that bulk, that biggest part of the hot air balloon right in the middle. All right, that one's gonna have a really big basket. So like I said, these are just fun. It doesn't have to be like true to life. You don't have to say, well, they're really high in the sky, so you probably wouldn't even be able to see the basket really well. It would really look like a dot, but that's not as fun. So we're gonna draw our little baskets. This one we're gonna draw a dot because I did come to a point on that one. So maybe it's just farther away. Okay. All right, so now we have some hot air balloon shapes, and you can really just play with this and make all of the shapes that you want. You could maybe even change it up a bit and start drawing like squares or something if you want, and try and change the shape of a hot air balloon. As long as you have the basic structure that it puffs in the middle and then it comes down to nearly a point in the end, you really could draw it any way you want. Okay, so now we are going to, we have drawn our circles or our ovals. We've come down on the sides, and now we are going to start drawing our contour lines. So contour lines can really run, they can run horizontally, they can run vertically, they can even run diagonally on our shape. So how you know how to do a contour line. If you are going to go vertically, I'm struggling with my directions, then what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a line right down the middle of one of our hot air balloons. And then how we know how to draw our contour lines, we're going to follow the edge of our shape here. So the contour lines on the right side are going to go along with the right side of our shape. The contour lines on the left side are going to go along with the left side of our shape. So we're going to start at the top, and we're just going to come down and follow that same shape and then come to the point on that side. And we're going to do it again here. Now we're going to go on the other side, and we're going to try to mirror these so that they're kind of the same distance apart here. And there you go. Now you have a hot air balloon, and it actually looks like it has more form. Okay, so let's say we don't want the same pattern on every single one of our hot air balloons, right? So let's try, since this one's kind of fat, and I like this shape a lot, actually. It's cute. We're gonna do our contour lines in the other direction. We're gonna do them horizontally. So we're gonna start at the fattest point of the balloon. And now we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to start following the contour lines out. And maybe you're thinking, wait a minute, this isn't, like, we're not following this shape, but we're following the basic structure of this. So we're just going to keep going down on that until we get to the bottom. It kind of looks like a watermelon. All right, that is fun. You can do contour lines on both directions, so we could do them horizontally and vertically. So let's practice that. And usually I would draw pretty light with my pencil because we're going to go back over it with pen. But for the sake of you guys being able to actually see what I'm doing, I'm drawing it a little bit darker. But the general rule is that you want to draw lightly. So there's kind of a plaid one. And let's try some diagonal ones. So first off, we're gonna do them vertically again. Doing our vertical contour lines. And now we are going to, okay, so look, this is a little bit trickier. So our lines that are coming on the left side, we are going to follow, oh, actually, wait, before we do that, we're gonna put dots. We're gonna put dots just below our middle of our line. So here's the middle. And if I'm drawing really light, so hopefully you guys can see this. So we're gonna put dots on our balloon here.
I can see it.
Can you see that? Okay. So now we are going to go, we're going to try to make a line that follows this line. So we're gonna go over and we're going to connect those dots. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. So it makes it look like it has like a little nut over the top. And maybe some ribbons from the side. And I'm going to bring those strings right down so that the basket's actually connected. Okay, let's do that one more time because that might have been a little bit confusing. So we're going to draw our vertical lines down. We're going to draw our dots where we want the lines to come to. I actually think I'm going to do this over 2 this time. Over 2 dots. Maybe it's actually easier if you come from the bottom. How did you do on that one? Did you try the net? That one might take a little bit of practice. Oh, it's so cute. They look great. I like them. Keep practicing. All right. Okay, on this one, we are going to do a chevron pattern. So we're going to do the same contour lines coming down. And then this time we're going to do a V right in the middle. Now we're kind of following this curve.
There's my net on.
Oh, that's so cute. Nice job, McKinley. Okay. So we're doing just a diagonal line with each of our intersections here. So once you have that first diagonal line, that first zigzag line, I guess, it's easy to now connect that. Or repeat it. Do you guys have any questions so far? All right, so you can go crazy with this. There's so many patterns. You could do polka dots, you can do anything that you, stripes, plaid, chevron, anything that you can think of. We're gonna do a really quick demonstration on value. So what I was saying is that when you have, it depends on where your light source is coming from. So this light source is coming from the sky and it's coming from this side. So that's why we get our highlights here. Come back to this picture. So we want to simplify it as much as possible. So what I have is I have black, a white, and one color. So our middle color is with acrylic paint, but you could also use markers. So I have a yellow, an orange, and a red marker also. So we are going to play with acrylic paint and we're going to play with the markers. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with our middle color. And we are just going to go ahead and paint that middle color all over our hot air balloon, one of our hot air balloons. So if you don't have paint, that is okay. Just, you can use, okay, the hardest thing actually is if you don't have acrylic paint and you're using watercolor, you want to do the lightest color first. So you wouldn't want to paint these in the exact same way. Upstairs, come back. So if we're using acrylic, then we can paint the whole color all over. If we're using something that's more translucent like watercolor or markers, then we want to start with, instead of starting with the middle color, we want to start with the lightest color. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. So on this case, I'm going to do my lightest color with my marker. Okay. All right, so now we're looking at our picture here, and we just want to get the shape of the shadow. Okay, so we're gonna go in with our medium color now and we're gonna get that shape. So with our marker, we are going to, now you'll notice it pretty much follows your contour lines that you've drawn. So that's the cool thing about drawing with contour lines and figuring out how to draw contour lines, is it also helps you to shade correctly. The biggest thing when people are trying to shade, they do incorrectly, is they don't actually follow the contour of the shape. So just with those two colors, it already starts to pop that out. Okay, if you used acrylic and you have your medium color here, then we're gonna start to mix our medium color with our white. And we are going to mix our medium color with our dark. So it takes a lot more white. It takes barely any black. So be very sparing when you add your dark black to it.
What's the other?
It is right here. Okay. So when we add the dark to it, we don't want to add as much. We really just want to add a little bit to it. And so we're going to do the same thing, the same dark with that on that side. Okay. With our highlight on the acrylic paint, we're going to come back in and we're going to just add highlights that. So in blending this, since my paint has already dried, I'm going to come back in with my medium color, and I'm just going to blend it just a little bit into that white. So it's a little bit more gradual. Okay, so that's the acrylic one. The marker one, we're going to come back in and we are going to add a core shadow here to the bottom of the balloon and that. And you can do the same thing with markers in this case too. You can actually blend them a little bit with your medium value. So there we go. That's how you get some form, some three-dimensional form with your hot air balloons. So adding color is fun to do. You could add it with colored pencil. You could do more designs in between the designs. Maybe add some different strips of fabric. And then once those are dry, so you don't want to come over the top of this until it's really dry. So I would give it even an hour or so. You can come back in and you can add some details with a fine tip marker and erase any of the lines that you don't want. Or another way you could do it is you could draw it in pencil and then you can get a waterproof pen and draw in your lines and then erase all of your lines and then color it as long as it's a waterproof pen. So, all right. So that's a little short little video on hot air balloons and how to get better form and shading. Do you guys have any questions?
Yep.
What's your question?
What do you do if both of your markers are the same kind of dark?
That's a good question. If both of your markers are the same value, then you can actually, with markers, because they're translucent, I could use the same marker and shade with that same marker. So it's all about layering. So if I only have one color of marker, let me pick a different color though, because that's not as fun to have all the same color of hot air balloon. So let's say I only have a green marker. I'm going to just use one marker here. I'm going to start by adding one layer to it. Okay. And then I can do the same thing. I can just add another layer, and that will add another layer of darkness.
You got 10 minutes, Mom.
Okay. And then I can just keep adding layers until I get to the value that I want. Did you see that? So you can, with marker, they're really fun because they are translucent, and the more layers that you add, the darker that it gets. So this is not the only way to shade this hot air balloon. So some hot air balloons, depending on where the colors or the light source is. So let's say that maybe the light source was behind or on the side or in the middle. Let's do one more here. So it actually might come around the hot air balloon. So there's my first layer. And then we are going to come across this way. But the one thing I do want you guys to take away is, even though there are lots of highlights and lots of there's shading and lots of places that you could add highlights and get carried away with details, what I really want you to think of and focus on is the bigger picture and the basic shapes. Where is my lightest? Where is my medium? And where is my darkest? And simplify that. Even though you could add highlights, more highlights on this because of the way that the fabric goes, and I could add a shadow here and I could add a shadow here and highlights here and here. Really, you want to think big shapes and simplify the shape instead of trying to do every single shadow that's in the picture. What you want to do is focus on the big shapes. That's good. You did it correctly.
Yeah, but it'll take a lot of motion.
I think it has a lot of character. I like it. All right. Any questions? Hopefully you had some fun and you can keep on practicing those. And I'm going to have 2 more classes. I'm going to have one on Monday and one on Tuesday. I think I wanted to do a stamp making class, just a really quick, simple way to make a couple of stamps that I've been doing for my sketchbooks and with a hot glue gun. Also, so I think I'll probably do that on Monday, and then if you guys have something that you guys would like me to teach on Tuesday, then you can put it in the chat or just let me know. Just so you know, I know that you've already signed up, Diana, but my classes, the early bird discount is ends on Cinco de Mayo, so that's why I'm doing these last 3 online classes. These will be my last 3 online classes before we actually start our summer classes, which I'm super excited about. So sign up if you want to. We will see you hopefully on Monday.
Thanks, Jenna.
Yep, you bet. Thanks for coming. See you.
See ya.